Alright guys, welcome to chapter 1 or section 1 of chapter 2, Arena Fundamentals for the Beginner. In this section we're going to be going over just basic terminology so that when you guys are going over later videos or pretty much just getting into Arena, you know what everybody's talking about and what all the terminology is that people use. So I think the biggest term that gets thrown around out there is in arenas at least, is CC, and this stands for crowd control, and that's basically any type of movement impairing effect or something that immobilizes your character. And we'll just go over a couple of examples right here. One of the most common types of CC is fear, as my priest will show. He's going to come after me and fear me, immobilizing my character for 6 seconds, which is that unique ability's CC time. So when people say, "Oh, I got CC'd, I CC'd them," they used one of their immobilization abilities on one of the enemy characters. And one of the big things about PvP is actually incorporating CC, or arenas, I mean. And that's partly the reason why we have trinkets. Everybody has a trinket. Humans have the racial every man for themselves, but everybody else gets a PvP trinkets, such as the Titan Forge Rune of Audacity, and that removes the movement impairing effect on you every 2 minutes. So that's one form of breaking CC. So when people refer to as trinket, they usually refer to the PvP movement impairing trinket, which is most commonly used. And just to go over another example of CC is the Red Paladin's Repentance, which he's going to throw on right here. And that's a 5-second CC. And every CC has unique things about it that we'll go over in later videos, like how to prevent getting CC'd by that type of CC, or even some classes have ways of getting out of a specific type of CC. Some classes have abilities that can make them immune to certain types of CC, but that'll come in later videos. Just right now, get used to the term CC. It's pretty simple, just crowd control. Here is a stun. That could be categorized into CC or something else, but uh, that's probably actually categorized into something else. All right, another big terminology that's used in Arena, I think it's second to CC, is kiting. And kiting is one of those terms that if you had just hit 80 and you hit Arena, or you started playing Arena, this is something you're gonna have no idea like what it is. You have no idea what people are talking about, but it's actually very easy. It's called kiting because it's almost like you're flying a kite. Kiting is when a DPS class or somebody's on you, and what you're trying to do is you're just trying to get away from them so you don't take as much damage. You're just trying to pretty much run away from someone, hence kiting them, keeping them on a string far away from you. And here, for example, a ret's kind of a tough class to kite, but if this ret was chasing me right here, one way I could kite him was to go travel form, for example, and go around the pole. And here I throw up my health bars to see around the pillar, and that's a form of kiting, and we'll go over that in another section referred to as that's actually pillar kiting. We'll go into depth with that later on, but that's basically what kiting means. Kiting is just keeping an enemy player on a kite and trying to run away from them. The third I think most commonly used term in Arena is line of sight, or LOS for short. LOS is basically, well, it stands for line of sight, and that's basically when you can directly see a player. You're in their line of sight. And for example, right here, the Paladin is in my line of sight. He's right here. So I can use an ability on him because he is in my line of sight. However, if he went behind the pillar, I can no longer use an ability. And it says target not in line of sight even on your screen. And when he comes back, I can cyclone him. Well, unless he moves back out like he did there. Which brings us to many other types of strategies for avoiding casts, and we'll go into depth with that a lot more later, but that's just the term that you guys need to know for now is LOS. So those are the three most commonly used terms, CC, LOS, and kiting. And if there were three that I would just have you immediately memorize, it would be those because they're probably the biggest used ones in Arena. Now let's get into some more of the other commonly used terms. So those are the three biggest examples of just terms, and there are a lot of other terms that new players might not understand. I mean, there's such a huge list, I don't think we could go over all of them in a video, but I'll try and just point out some of the main ones that a player would not intuitively understand. Turtling refers to when you're basically utilizing an arena strategy that uh, focuses on playing very defensive till the other team's is out of cooldowns, and pretty much just going in a shell. That's what it refers to, turtling. Pretty much just putting yourself in a defensive shell until the other team exposes themselves, and then you take advantage of it. Then there's baiting, which refers to putting your team out, or one of your teammates out, so that the other team would try and target them, and you take advantage of that. That's kind of self-explanatory. When people refer to comps, C-O-M-P, they refer to a composition or a team setup, like for example, Druid, Priest, Ret, right, that we have here. That would be an example of a comp. Not a very popular one, but a comp nonetheless. CS, when someone says they got CS, that stands for counterspelled. DR, DR stands for diminishing returns. We'll go over exactly what diminishing returns are later on, but just a quick overview of that is, let's say I cyclone our ret here once. Now, one full cyclone is 5 seconds. But if I wanted to cyclone him twice, it's going to be only half of that. And then if I cyclone him again, it's going to be half of that. That's pretty much what it means when someone's saying my cyclone is on DR. They're saying they're out of cyclones because after 3 usages, you can't do it anymore for, I think it's another 12 seconds. Exactly. Yeah, so there's a lot more in-depth stuff that we can go into with DRs, but we won't do that for now. Just another term is peeling or peel. That's referred to when your teammate helps get an enemy player off you. So let's say our or our priest here is my teammate. Let me invite him to the group really fast. Now the enemy player was the ret. Let's say the ret was on me. I would say, Buster, I need peels. I need peels. He would come in and he would fear him. That's what peeling is, helping your team. Proc is another term. When someone says my ability procced, they pretty much just mean that it went off. So if there are many types of abilities in the game that happen on chance or are random, and when one of them procs, it means it just went off. Strip refers to when a dispelling class like a priest or a shaman take all the enemy buffs off. That's what stripping is. We'll go over that later on. Tunnel visioning is a term implied when a player focuses too much on one thing in arenas and kind of loses track of what's going on around them. So those are just some examples of terms, and once you keep going on in the videos and just once you learn more, you'll understand all the terms. But this is just a quick reference guide so you can start getting into the most common terms immediately. Anyways, that's been section 1 of chapter 2 actually. Just basic terminology so you know what everybody's talking about.